Let's get started. Call the ambulance committee meeting to order. I'll lead us in a prayer and pledge, and then we'll get going. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time you've given us to be here to do the work of the county. We just ask that you'll be with this committee and everything that takes place here tonight. Thank you for your Son, Jesus. It's in His name we pray. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We almost forgot that we had this meeting coming up, and I looked and saw it on the calendar because we scheduled it last quarter. So I guess it's a good thing we did that to keep ourselves on pace, because it seems like we just met. I don't know of anything brewing. If anything is, I certainly haven't heard of it. So hopefully this will be a very quick meeting, and we can just touch base and go on. So we will get our report from 911.
Okay, well, we have no issues. I had the girls throw together some numbers for me real quick, and it showed, starting in January, 901 medicals and 544 transfers. The medicals do include some of the fire standbys. They didn't take those out. And we really haven't had any complaints or issues with Medic One. They've been doing a good job.
Medic One.
First of all,
this will be posted online tomorrow.
Really appreciate the people coming, the crews coming to support me, because last time I had nobody, and David showed up late, and I was just by myself, and it just got creepy. Well, first and foremost, as you know, we have the chuck wagon races coming up. The team has been very active, administrative team, to get that all taken care of. We bought a new side-by-side, the seats for the event. I'd like to show that out. It's four-wheel drive and operates and runs, and it's just everything different than the last piece of equipment we had at the event. We're hoping it's better. For the first 212 days, we've transported 1,114 runs. That's 5.25 a day.
That's well.
Haven't really had any issues. That no one from here has called me with it, except did get a text from you late. And you want to discuss that real quick?
Yeah.
The text was about the oxygen with the fire department, and so if the fire department uses durable goods, we replace it. Oxygen we don't, because you have to have a medical director for the oxygen. It's a compliance issue, and I think what happened in the transition, that our staff that we employed that worked for Southern continued on the process, and we've gotten much bigger this last year as a service, and we've hired a compliance officer. And when we looked at Van Buren County, we recognized that we were out of compliance as far as with oxygen. We can give the collars, we can give everything, but we can't switch out oxygen.
Compliance with the state?
Well, it's a drug, believe it or not.
But we've been doing it for 30 years, and we've never had an issue until Medic One come in. And we've never, ever had an issue until Medic One come in. And we do have 3 fire departments have medical directors that have signed off on it. And that's why I brought that up,
Well,
because that's a big issue.
It also is a very expensive issue.
Exactly.
Due to the fact that our bottles, when we transfer off, they get lost and taken. Mm-hmm. And then when they do the year in, we end up buying $20,000 worth of bottles.
Well,
so
here's the issue, and I bring this up because this is a big issue. It's a huge issue. Is because the last time we talked was not this last meeting, the meeting before that, we were told to go purchase the bottles, which they did. Okay? They have those bottles in stock, and now they can't switch them out. Of course, now they've got a medical director that is whatever the place is there and to switch out the bottles, that they're going to start doing it. But like you say, it is very expensive. I guess my question to you too is, whenever the fire department uses that, do you guys bill for that?
No. Not in a billing situation with the ambulance with Part B, Medicare, Medicaid rules and regulations with the state. We have a base rate plus mileage. There is no, it's not like years ago where you would charge for a backboard, an IV, and have a checklist. It's just a flat rate plus mileage.
And is this something new, or is this something, because there's still other agencies out there that do switch out bottles for their first responders, or their EMTs that you know, and I'm just trying to figure out, when did this change?
Well, we, as a company, have been doing out of compliance for us up here. That is not something that we have ever done as a corporation. We only switch out neck collars, baggage, gauze, and whatever supplies they use.
So what is your recommendations for, and I've called the health department, and they're supposed to come back in the morning, the person that we're supposed to talk to, it's 4:30. But what is y'all's recommendations? Because I know as first responders, as EMTs, you're always told that's the big thing you do is push oxygen, okay? What is your recommendation on that? Just quit doing it? Or, I mean,
I don't think
the
we,
fire departments can.
I don't think we, in our counties that we serve, the 1,100,000 people we serve, we have one agency that brings first responders that have oxygen on site before we get there. Do you know them?
Jonesboro Fire, they usually have oxygen.
But that's not our oxygen.
No, that's not our oxygen.
Yeah.
No, we just give them that man.
So,
Yeah.
well, that's not a normal practice in pre-hospital care on that side of it. But, I mean, when you talk to you and I have always a pretty open discussion. Be happy to discuss that with you.
Well, I just recommend that also that, because I know two of the fire departments are going to try to do it, but they're not going to be able to afford to do it long.
Most of it is the gas company, the air gas company with the penalties and fines on those bottles. About 2 years ago, we did a reconciliation of our inventory, and we had about $26,000 of rental bottles that we had to pay for, or continue to pay the $6 to $9 a month on the rentals.
Right.
So obviously, it was smarter to negotiate out. If we could come up with a system that is foolproof, or there is a situation where the fire departments would sign on for the inventory of those bottles, I'm gonna be quite honest with you, oxygen's expensive,
Right.
but the lack of inventory, that even gets worse.
Well, I'm sure they would probably do that. I mean, and of course, one particular fire department I'm talking about, they've got a couple EMTs and a couple of nurses that are on as first responders. Of course, I know a lot of fire departments are kind of getting away from that, because it is.
Most fire departments don't have that in their budget,
Right.
I would think, and that's why we don't see it, I guess, a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's not our business.
The thing here is, with our community, we're all red, China, you're way out in the middle of nowhere. In Florida, Jonesboro, you're close.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Well, we have-
Somebody trying to get some oxygen that needs it.
Well, just where you'll know, in our other marketplaces have volunteer and fire departments such as yours, that you're, 30 minutes away, pretty large counties, it's the same, they don't have the budget for that also.
Well, that just changed. I mean, I'm just saying, prior to, I'm not knocking Medic One, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, prior to Medic One, every fire department that ran first responders had multiple oxygen bottles that they used, and we switched out. They can vouch for that. But, and then we switched bottles because you guys switched bottles to the ones that's got the regulators built into them. get those, so.
Well, we'll try to work through that with, I'm just saying that in the past, that has not been a very successful thing for us, because there's not a way to inventory them.
Right.
And when they come, and where we got hit is when we changed providers for our air gas. We went to a company out of Missouri, and we just, I think it was about a $26,000 item.
Right. Well, I think the fire departments now are hooked up with, at least two of them are hooked up with air gas out of, I think it's Russellville or.
But the other thing is,
wherever they're at.
over the course of time you're talking about, you go back 10 years, Medicare allowable was $725 per ambulance run. As we all know now, it's $262. Our wages have went way up, with benefits going way up, with lesser revenue. So our margins have shrunk quite a bit. So it also, we have to watch our cost to be a successful company. So it's cost for us too.
No, I understand. I'm just trying to figure out, because two of the fire chiefs just called and wanted to know what was going on, because all they were told they can't do it. Well, there should be a better explanation than that. I mean, and so I'd recommend maybe you come to the Fire Chiefs Association meeting, something, and let the fire chiefs know, or send a letter out, something, let them know why that it ain't just medical one being a horse's patooth, that there's legal reasons
Yeah.
withstanding that. You see what I'm saying? I mean, and I think that's what, because when it was brought to me today, I was like, you what? And so that's when I sent you that text on it.
Okay.
That's the first I heard of it. So, we just need to kind of.
But all that stuff is, when you disperse all this extra medical supplies to all the different first responders in the community, you end up talking about $50,000 a year.
Right.
So those are all real dollars that we have to watch as this new fee schedules come into play. So.
Well, I mean, and most of the fire departments will have their own bottles. They just want to switch them out when they use them on your patients. I say your patients, their patients, however you want to look at it. They're the exact same bottles, and I understand it's a drug, but it's been a drug for 30 years.
Well, I would tell you, just because it's happened for 30 years up here,
Right.
unfortunately, that doesn't make it legal or right.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we want to stay compliant, obviously, but we also want to be good corporate citizens. And if we can help with that, maybe if you'll email or text me the fire chiefs that are in question,
I can do that.
it might be a situation we could talk through it.
I can do that.
Any other questions in regards to,
That's all I have.
do you guys have any questions in regards to what's going on? Any issues or concerns?
Everything's been going pretty good. I haven't had any complaints, nobody's.
I haven't received any, so I didn't really have a lot to share with you tonight. I wanted to take the time to see you, but I didn't. I really don't have a whole bunch of them. I mean, the only thing we haven't really talked about, last time we spoke, we were going to talk about the Shirley base. I was going to tell you, since January 1st, we've had 40 transports out of that area. That truck using that. I don't know if that's a viable base. And I figured it would come up. I talked to Chris Millard on the way up here. He wanted to make sure that you received his contract. I said I would share that with the CEO. Other than that, there's some discussion about Heber Springs. I don't know if you've all heard that. Chris Millard's a fine guy. Donald Scholl's a fine guy. All I told him is that I would be willing to sign a mutual aid to work with either one of them or whoever the county chooses. But truthfully, that is the exact same statement that I write to every county that matches our side. We didn't take a really political position, but if you guys had any questions, I think whoever they choose will do fine.
I think they chose survival flight, right? That's who got the.
They did.
Is that for the whole county or just for the city?
I think it's the whole county.
No, it's just city, I believe.
I heard they're putting 4 ground units in the county, or in Cleveland County.
But they're doing a co-op situation. They're going to do something that's kind of, well, it's never worked in the history of rural America. They have a fire chief from California that, I guess, has a plan. I would do whatever I can to help them, but I told them that that help goes both ways, so I look forward to their mutual aid also. And Chris and I we do a lot of business with air evac and survival flight. They do a good job and they have good quality training. So I would suspect that when they come into this county, they will be, good for the citizens here and good with us. And I think, other than that, that's all I really had. I didn't want to be, I don't really want to pick one or the other because I really don't care. I just want you to pick me. That's the only vote I have.
There's no need in roll call voting. We have such a small group here, or roll call calling. Does anyone have any questions for Ryan that you'd like to present, or any statements to the rest of the committee?
You gotta have something.
I think you was talking about the, where's Labor Day coming up? The chuck wagon races. Are y'all geared up for that? I mean, y'all ready for that?
I bought a new.
You've went through it once, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With, hey, seasoned vet. Hey, don't you worry about us. Hey, we got you.
We got it.
No, it's an event that I certainly will be back for.
We need to set a date for our next meeting.
You don't have anything? You look like
Did
it.
you drive there or fly?
I drove. I wanted to see I fly to St. Louis, to those places, but there's nothing prettier than the lake.
You fly in for one meeting?
I did, and it's then I got bum rides, and it's embarrassing.
If we maintain our quarterly meetings, the next time would end up being November 7th. Does anyone have an issue with November 7th?
The trouble is our fire meeting is the same night, when it's the first or the third. It's like today, so I run from there to get here.
Okay, how about November 5th?
I can't go.
Judge, do you think we need to have them quarterly? Is that a requirement or is that an option?
That was in the contract to be
Okay.
quarterly,
Okay.
but if we do we have a quorum here? I haven't even counted all the members.
Large committee to
17, and it's.
17 total.
Not voting members or not.
We do I'd go ahead and maintain this one at a quarterly pace, but we need to vote with the majority of our voting membership here
Sure.
to go to at least a biannual. meeting.
Who are the voting members?
I didn't bring mine in.
Well, we have two different,
The one that's off the contract.
right.
It is, there is, you have 2 representatives.
No.
Well,
I think there's only 7 or 8.
You have 2 voting in
No.
the contract.
No,
In the contract, you have 2.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Who would that be?
I don't know. I mean, you have 2 spots.
There was a lady
I
at
thought
the
you
beginning,
appointed-
so that was from the hospital. I can't
Yeah,
remember
there's
her.
another lady.
Well,
Was Edna not? Edna had something to do with it, didn't she?
Ozark Health has 1 vote, and I was not able to be here, so she sat in for me that night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
How many does Medic want to have?
0.
There's representatives from each of the mayors. So each of the
I was
mayors.
just curious, Judge. We can take care of that
From the
next
city,
time.
2 aldermen from Fairfield Bay Rescue, Fairfield Miracle Bay Rescue, Van Buren County Rescue, Fire Chiefs Association, and the judge.
Every mayor.
Yeah, every mayor. And then there's 2 from the city, 2 from each of the cities, Fairfield Bay and Clinton. There is both rescues and then action spots. That's on the list. I mean, not the names, but it says Ozark Hill have 2 representatives, is what it says. Because it's total 17.
Well, there was an ordinance, I believe, that specified that, so
Yep.
whatever the ordinance says.
Yep.
Well, if there's any issues, obviously, between that time, feel free to call me directly and I will get on it immediately.
So have you decided on a day?
If we can't do the 5th or the 7th, how about, the only problem with the Tuesdays in November is you guys are going to be coming up with budgets. November 14th, those are city councils.
Fairfield Bay City Council would be on the 11th.
I can't do the 14th.
Make it the 7th. I can get here.
If you do the 7th, because I can do it the 7th.
7th? Okay, we'll end up where we started, November 7th.
Yeah, okay.
That
Sounds good.
Same time?
7?
Yes.
Thank you.
6 o'clock?
I'll
6
just
o'clock.
roll in as quick as I can get here. Maybe a little earlier than that.
And we won't look at you cross-eyed.
Well, okay then.
Anything else? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Make a motion.
We're adjourned. Thank y'all.
Thank you.